Hi, I'm Steve Brignoli, Beyond SOF, here today with Adam McLean. And today we're going to kind of walk through working job lists and portfolio lists and so on and so forth with Adam. I'm going to do kind of an introduction of what we do, which is job placement and boutique headhunting, normally within special operations in the IC community. However, because of stressors from the pandemic and other factors that relate to up and coming holiday season, we kicked off a writ large veteran hiring initiative known as Operation Grateful Nation. And so we're moving, we still have our specialized categories for cleared placement within the federal and commercial realms. However, we're also delving into more of the general purpose force veterans that also need work. So we've got a couple different initiatives with all different types of all walks of life. We have organizations that are in construction, organizations that deal with metal workers and steel. We even have a tattoo parlor, cannabis security. So there's a lot of different venues that we're opening up to, mainly because, and I'm sure that our organization isn't the only one, there are, veteran hiring firms that are getting hit up by a lot of vets and our own candidates that are just in a bad position from the pandemic and just writ large with job opportunities, and especially with the election being up in the air, now is especially critical for folks who are looking for work, because folks aren't sure on the hiring side which direction the country may be going in. So it's kind of a stop loss. There's kind of a gridlock on hiring initiatives writ large. So we're trying to step up to the plate on that and fight the good fight and maintain some initiative with moving not just the specialized veterans we deal with at Beyond SOF, but writ large with some of the general purpose forces, even law enforcement. So those that serve the nation, we're trying to serve them through this initiative. And again, the name of the initiative is Operation Grateful Nation. We'll go ahead and post the hashtag wherever it'll go in the video, and that way you guys can click on it. It's a unique hashtag, which is key, because then you can kind of delve around on the internet and see different feedback and some of the different job opportunities we have. But enough about that. I want to get right to one of our candidates that Adam and I met on Twitter, just going back and forth with regards to, I don't know if it was different types of, training or weapons platforms, or just like and kind friends that have similarities in shooting and hobbies of sport, if you will. So with that, and before I kind of get into the timeline that Adam and I have been tracking on, I'll let Adam introduce himself and kind of talk about a couple facets. One, where he is, where he's been, like background, where he's been, where he is now, and then what kind of what interests you about our initiative. So take it away, brother.
Sure, man. I really appreciate being the one of the beta tests of this initiative. I am a infantry Marine. I was active from 2011 to 2015. I've been on 2 deployments, one to the sandbox, in Afghanistan. And I did all that cool guy stuff, not as cool as he did, obviously. But, I came back, did a little bit of time in the reserves. And in that time, I've probably lived many lifetimes in just the last 10 years, because not only did I do that, I got out. I started a business with my brother. We were business partners together. He was actually a Navy SEAL himself. And so we opened up a restaurant together, a little coffee shop, diner place. And after about a year, that's when I was actually decided to change. I wanted to get away from that. I was actually planning to go back active duty, but that ended up fizzling out. So I moved on to going to get a bachelor's degree in business administration. During this whole time, I was working, different jobs. I ended up waiting tables for a couple, our pizza place, and then our restaurant, and then I ended up working for a company that was a virtual biotech. I was their IT specialist there, where they were doing some really cool scientific medical research, breaking through, doing really crazy stuff. But after a while there, it was time for me to move on. I ended up at a management position at, I'm doing a self-storage facility right now as I'm finishing up my master's in information technology with a concentration in information security. Security has always been something, the information security has always been kind of something that I took seriously within the military. And when I got out, that kind of remained into my technical enjoyment of using the technologies, and that position with that I had in IT. So I kind of married that into my master's that I'm finishing up in February. But I've hit the point where the job I have is I need more. My GI Bills ran out, and I'm sitting here trying to move on to the next level of my career progression and my excellence there. So I'm always trying to work harder to get to the next goal. And when Steve started this initiative, I had to reach out because and I had to be like, hey, if you're trying to help people, help me out, because I'm definitely trying to boost my career progression past where I'm sitting.
And that brings up a great point. Lots of there are folks that obviously reach out, but sometimes they're already at the breaking point, and we're seeing that. I feel like it's really tough for hiring organizations, because I feel like I have to shift the entire organization, because if I don't, that person may make a permanent make a permanent decision for a temporary situation, unfortunately. And as we've seen lately, veteran suicide is up 200% in the last 7 months. And I think the numbers are sitting at like 195,000 as compared to the mortality rate in combat, which is just north of something like 5,200 or something like that. So,
yep.
That the main point there is, it's talk to me about how tough it is when you're looking around for you're between waiting tables and trying different business aspects. I mean, kind of talk me through, especially it's interesting as a 0311 infantry Marine, and now infosec and stuff.
Yeah.
How hard is it to kind of find yourself when you're talk through some of that, because I know people watching are dealing with the same challenges.
Sure. So I think what's interesting about this situation is, so my fellow grunts, they will know this, right? So we know that when you're an infantry Marine, we have no help. We are on our own to do basically everything. All right. Motor T doesn't drive us. We drive ourselves. So we have to train our own drivers. Every part of our mission set, we got help every once in a while, but we became, a sergeant told me the best once. He said, infantry Marines were like a multi-tool. And so you get out and you're this multi-tool, but you get out and then people are like, the only thing you can do is, you're just a dumb grunt who shot a gun, and you probably have PTSD. And so we don't want some crazy Marine in here. We've heard stories about your type. So, you're relegated to whether, if you have some good connections, and I'm telling you, enlisted Marines typically do not come out with great networking connections. So you come out, you have very little networking connections. You're considered to have no skills, when really the skill set that you have is that you're adaptable to any mission.
Right.
And it's not understood and it's not appreciated. And so that was a big transition. And I was lucky when I first came out. I ended up getting to do have a scheduling position for a Marine who was running for governor in Missouri. But that politics is a short-term thing, and that ended up with me ending up in the doing some crazy political stuff in a PAC. But that's all temporary. It was fun, but it was temporary. And so then I ended up doing this restaurant. That's a hard stress job. I mean, because
Oh yeah.
you're working your butt off. I mean, the first 3 months that we were open, just me. I was working over 118 hours a week.
Mhm.
Okay. Like I would literally get up at 5 and I'd go to bed at like midnight, just trying to do everything from running basically all the multi different facets of the operation to include just running it during the day. So I mean, I burnt out real quick with that. So, and I was someone who grew up all in college. I was
So
enjoying.
how did you end up, what's one of the things that you can take away coming from that background that you would give advice for here on this video to, grunts or infantry background that now, all right, from kind of doing the whole discovery between
Sure.
overworking yourself hours wise to looking around. Is there a thread there that of advice that you'd be able to, having walked that walk, tell the community now that would help? Because everybody goes through that after transition. It's, I don't care if
Yeah.
you're a private or a general officer, just kind of walk me
Sure.
through that.
Sure. I mean, since I've gotten out, I've had multiple different jobs, owned two different businesses, and what I've learned is, yeah, finding yourself is hard. And I think the biggest thing to do is from the time you get out, you're so just molded and ingrained into a certain mentality. And now you don't have any of that structure that you thought sucked before. So you got out and now, but that structure helped form you and gave you purpose before,
Right.
even when you didn't think you had purpose. Now you have to find your own purpose. And so I think that basically to find your purpose, don't give up,
Right.
keep in the fight. Your fight is simply changed. You're still a warrior, but your fight is different. Your fight is now your own, and your fight is to find your level of success. And I think the biggest thing is that always stay hungry. Like, but by all means, if you look at my resume, I'm not a failure of a person. I'm not necessarily where I want to be, but I'm not where I want to be because I stay hungry.
No, that's great. And then, there are some, there's different tools, provided, but there seems to be a lot of them. So there needs to be some distinction on options. And usually this needs to take place before you transition out of the force. Things that include understanding what your network is and where that can lead you, understanding the structure of a resume. I mean, you'd be surprised that there really isn't, a difference from whether it's senior ranking officers sometimes also don't have a resume prepared or understand that. So there's certain aspects that need to be understood, and so resume. Obviously now they're doing LinkedIn and the TAPS program, so some of that is being taught. And the other thing that we're working on is fellowship initiatives that allow for, one, what is your worth as it relates to your experiential learning from being in the military? Are there college credits that can be involved with that? Because there's some crossover there with, there's certain credit, college credits or certifications that can be identified with the skill sets you learn in the military. The other thing is walking through what a resume looks like, because you have to have some type of constitution of who you are, if you will, for anybody looking to hire you. And in addition to that, is what are the next steps? And I always explain it two way, one of two ways. One, what do you love to do? Two, what do you know you can make money at? And somewhere in between, that's a good starting point where you can be successful. I explained it to a two-star general officer. I said, you know, they like the outdoors, but they also knew that their Rolodex, you know, within special operations and the military industrial complex was of value. Um, so really what we came up with is a regional manager at a Bass Pro Shops, because, you know, that way they're connected with the outdoors, but on top of that, you know, they understand how to manage large organizations, aspects of contracting, aspects of being able to have a strategy down to an operational and you know, as it relates to sales, almost a tactical level. So, um, so let's take a look at your resume. I'm going to do a screen share here. Let's see here, screen share. Time, all right. Let me know if you can see that. So here's the first email that we got out to you, or this is when we were talking on Twitter. I said there's a couple of key things you want to um, get right up front when you know, we approach you or you approach us with the Operation Grateful Nation initiative as it relates to helping find veterans work. So, you know, we'll obviously ask for what you have so far as a resume, but then we also asked you to address a couple of the key items here, okay? And
Yep.
that is what your location preferences are. So if you are, you know, required to stay in a certain area because of family considerations or any considerations, you know, where are those locations? And that doesn't mean you can't deploy, but just in general, where's your new home station going to be? Okay. Next is salary considerations. You know, what's your lowest and your highest number? And for those listening, the biggest factor to that is, you know, what is your current salary range? And if you're in the military, what's that look like on the outside? Okay, a lot of veterans, before they get out, they don't realize that, you know, their housing isn't taxed, right? So the housing portion needs to be considered, and we'll be able to put some links here with tools that show what you're actually required to make on the outside. And then the last portion is, what area do you want to focus in? Adam, you stated you want to really work in the information security side to expand that.
Yes.
And you know, with that, obviously you've got the different. You could have gone restaurant wise. You could have done small business, or you could have stepped back into, you know, the securities aspect, whether it's personal security detail, you know, any type of law enforcement or any type of security work. Is there a reason you chose the information security side over the others?
Yeah, you know, so entropy is a thing, and
Yep.
you know, while I still love to go out and shoot and have a good time, I've accepted that my cool guy days are over, and you know, you know, I always wanted to go and push myself and be an infantryman, and I wanted to go overseas, and I wanted to fight for the country, but that was never what I wanted to do with my life. When I did that, that was an adventure that I wanted. And then I came to, when I had that, my first IT job, I really enjoyed it. It was really great pay. It was really, I learned a lot because that was kind of a entry level IT specialist position. And at that point, I got to I ended up, you know, got to take over, basically be a one-man IT, you know, show for a company. And I really, really liked that. You know, the restaurant industry, there's great money to be had in it. There is great money in those management positions, you know, especially as you get to a higher level. But that just wasn't where I wanted to be anymore. And as far as just the information security, the security aspect has always been interesting to me, especially because it's a piece of the puzzle of I like a challenge, because so many people don't understand how important it is to have that your data secure, to have your information secure, and they don't do anything until afterwards. And coming from that military background, it's, you know, when you sit every year and you have Uncle Sam and a purple dragon telling you that you need to secure stuff, and you Uncle Sam's OPSEC for my Marines and sailors out there, and then you have all the cyber awareness. You know, I had that in the military, and I was kind of just clicked through and got through.
Yeah, it was just affording you, as you saw it, more opportunities because of the growth vector in that area. I'm going to switch over to the initial job list, and the reason I'm going to do that is, you know, you had stated, you know, you were looking at InfoSec, and so the you know, here's the initial list that you got. Real, you know, real short, just kind of walk through what was the you know, your initial thoughts on what we sent, you know, job wise. And that was, I don't know if you can see it. Should be, do you see it? Okay, yes.
Yes, so. I can see it. And yeah, out of those, I mean, so that's definitely kind of a slightly different niche. And we, with the second round, you know, you guys got it like right on target. So, you know, it kind of took a little bit of a communication, I think, between us to get it there. But you guys, what you guys sent me with the second list really knocked it out of the park. We got it right on target.
Yeah, and jumping back a little bit, I'm going to do a share of the resume we got. And initially, this was, you know, the resume you sent over, which, you know, it does the breakout. And talk to me real quick on, you know, this layout and why you chose this specific layout.
Sure.
Initially, because I want to show the progression here. So just.
So when I initially made this, the second company that I started, and this was it's always been a small passion project of mine that's brought in some money over the years, has been basically videography, web design, you know, and then just photography. So a lot of just graphic based things. And so I was like, okay, I want to try to make an impression by giving a resume that is a visual, just complete change up from the norm. And I tried to look at some of the modern clean resumes and then implement pieces of that. And so, and then I also put in the graphics of, you can go, here's the logo of where I work. Here's the logo of my current business. Here's a logo where I used to work. Hey, here's a logo of the Marine Corps. And so that's where I try to show, hey, here is a proven track record of leadership within these different organizations, from either starting a business and being the owner, or being a manager at where I am with Right Space right now, and then just previous positions. And what I also did as well is then, so after I put those positions, I went in and put my education, and then I tried to put some skills, and it was more, it was kind of, I think, too far of the wrong place. It's what I had at the time for a different job set between the transition of, I was not as far in my master's when I started this. I was just, I think I made this when I finished my bachelor's degree, actually, in business administration.
Right.
And then I put, just to once again emphasize the leadership with showing the political activism that I had done before as well.
So when we got this, this is why we sent the first 4 jobs, and a couple pointers here on this as it relates to resumes. Number one, there is no right answer to a particular format or design for a resume. However, the answer is right when the resume works for that particular customer or for that job. So on the initial feedback, you know, you had skills down here, okay, and then but there, you know, as we talked about, we need actual certifications, and then I'll walk through the second portion, and we'll do a side-by-side on this. But once we got the initial feedback, I said to you, Adam, here are the things that are going to be required in the second resume for the specific market you want to enter. Okay. Yep. So this is the second set of jobs. And can you see that?
Yes.
And so these are going to be more focused on the particular areas that you were looking at specifically. And I think you gave us some great feedback on that. And you were pretty satisfied with that set. And you've got 5 applications in, as I understand it.
Yeah, so I spent the weekend, and I once you sent me that list, it was that was amazing, because I saw, I was like, all right, so now we can double down and get back into this. So one of the things we did was, I definitely emphasized again, that's like, hey, because the first bunch of positions were actually all here in the Northeast as well. I'm in New Hampshire right now, and I've basically given up here just because it's not a great market. I
Yeah,
don't.
that was difficult to find your stuff up
Yeah.
there. I can tell you that.
And I need a warmer climate as well. So I've applied for a few VA jobs and whatnot that have been up here, but it's like, oh, you're qualified for GS-12, but you're good. No, we're okay. And that's fine. Rejection's part of getting a job. But so you sent me this bang up list of jobs. It was 5 jobs, and these were all either North Carolina or remote. And so I saw this and was like, okay, we got to double down, and we've got to completely start over with the resume. And so that's where we ended up with that.
Absolutely. And here's the second resume. Now, here's where we were able to give you some guidance on format and laying out what's critical up front. Okay. And that also that breaks down to more of a results oriented resume. Eventually I want to do away with resumes. There needs to be a living file that kind of ties in live with people's leverageable network, which shows a chemistry of how they can meld into an organization. And the point of that being that we want to give hiring organizations the opportunity to almost have a feeling like they would if the particular candidate was with the organization for 6 months already, that kind of feel. And that's both with psychological profiles, that's both with results oriented performance and delivery. And it's also as it relates to leverageable network to see, where someone fits best within an organization. But on top of that, who is the person? Resumes can be very cold, and until you do that face to face, you only then start to understand the dynamics of the person, what other values they can bring to the organization. So on this second resume, still a work in progress. We've worked on the summary aspect, the key highlights and here's where you start to see different certifications. We're on the last resume. Those, you have skills here, but here you start to actually see certifications and what value you can provide to an organization with those particular experiences and certifications. More of a timeline, okay, so that people can see relatable experience. They want to see how long you've been with an organization. On top of that, some of the results with the accomplishments. And again, this isn't the final product, but it's crawl, walk, run. So we're stepping away from more of this, the graphic side, and stepping in more toward a specific genre of jobs you're looking at, as well as more of a results oriented, impactful resume. And so with that, I'm just going to kind of open it back up to you, talk about where you're at in the process, and talk about why why you think this can be of value to peers and to as a small business owner, hiring organizations.
So I think that the biggest help has actually been so what Steve and his company have done is they've provided some jobs, and what that does is, I think the biggest thing that helps there is, I'm not just, when you are all alone, when you are an island to yourself trying to look for a job, it's overwhelming, especially when you're someone who's in my shoes, where I work 40 hours a week, And then I come home and I spend probably another 20 hours at least doing grad work. And then I'm still always trying to, make my side hustle of get customers with my business, which has been crushing this year with COVID. So that puts more pressure. But I think the best thing has been the fact that they are there. Steve is there with his team to just kind of give you an extra kick in the pants. The work on the resume, I spent about 20, 30 hours, not just writing that thing. That would actually took maybe a few hours, but just researching of how to make my resume better. Basically, he's like, hey, here's what you have. And he's just brutally honest with you and tells you, you need to fix this, fix yourself. And it's like, hey, I have someone helping me. And if they're, and you're also just telling me, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. And that is just very, very, very helpful. And I think that what it also does is, they're helping people who are hard workers. They're not doing it for you. Right. And so I think that what that helps show is also for employers is going, we have someone who, they're a hard charger. They're trying to find work and they're putting in the effort. It's not being done for them. No one's holding my hand in this process.
Right.
It's more of just, okay, here's what you got. Here's some tips.
Right. And, I appreciate that. And part of this is really, it's informational for folks who are not quite sure the hiring initiative we're putting together. And part of it is also an introduction to you. So we can put you out there as it relates to your journey with this. So, a lot of folks in the commercial realm, they don't understand where a veteran is coming from. The military is, the only thing is what you're trained on. So it's very institutionalized knowledge. It's applicable, but it has to be pivoted. And if hiring organizations don't understand that journey, which you kind of, this is purpose of the video too, it's multifaceted. You're able to relay that and they can see the person, they can see the migration of where you started resume wise, or your walk as it related to small business and the different experiences you've had after the military. And they get to see the person, and then this will help them get an idea of the challenges, of the path, of the progression, so they can also look to expect that either in their own training programs for their corporations or business, but also understand where veterans might have come from. So I appreciate you taking the time to walk through your journey with us. And, we're going to make this available with some of the other available resources that we have for transition, for fellowships, for education opportunities, through our different platforms, and make those afforded to not just the LinkedIn community, but folks coming out. We'll be able to push this through some of our DoD Skill Bridge and SFL TAPS programs. So appreciate it, Adam. And we're going to do probably one more video just to show your progression. The story isn't over, the story continues. And we're going to complete the mission. So thanks again for your time. And I'll see you next time, buddy.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much.
Yep.